countries and businesses continue to experience difficulties as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the concept of economic self-reliance is becoming even more critical. World economies are now boosting their local industries in order to reduce the overdependence on foreign imports. In Ghana, the emergence of domestic agro-processing companies and the government's One District, One Factory initiative is expected to help Ghana reduce importation and rather rely on local production. This will be the center of attention on today's edition of International Trade Focus. International Trade Focus is brought to you by Ghana Free Zones Authority. They say sharing good fortunes and GOL, good energy, ADB, truly, agric and more. International Trade Focus is also supported by Pejase Valley Resort. My name is Anna Spio. Stay tuned. A warm welcome back. You're still watching International Trade Focus. Our focal point segment comes up next. Ghana's quest to reduce imports by increasing local production has led to the introduction of a number of policies and programs that are beginning to yield the needed results. The country's post-independence industrial development strategy that was aimed at encouraging import substitution industrialization failed to achieve these objectives since it was essentially central government-driven as opposed to private sector-led industrialization. But unlike the previous attempt, the current local industrialization strategy is largely private sector-led, although the government is playing a facilitation role by creating the enabling environment and linking private investors to sources of funding from both private and state-owned financial institutions. The One District, One Factory initiative, which is a brainchild of the current government, has seen a strong collaboration between the government and the private sector, working hand in hand to drive a vigorous industrialization agenda, mainly in the area of agro-processing, to significantly reduce imports and rather increase local production and processing. As of 2019, 181 factories had been enrolled under the government's One District, One Factory program since its launch in August 2017. 57 of them are currently operating, while under 22 are still under construction. According to a document sourced from the One District, One Factory Secretariat listing factories, their locations and status, a total of about 170 factories are currently at various stages of completion. It includes companies that are operating as revived or expanding factories. Others are new, bigger factories under construction, as well as small-scale processing factories under construction.
We have received pictures, we have received reports from management on the monies that we have recommended to the board for approval and has been disbursed. We actually want to see, as evidence, how these monies and machines that we have supported financially, how has been utilized. So the committee thought it prudent to come to site to see actually what is on the ground.
The board has approved 84 projects in various sectors and various regions of this country. Total approval of loans as we speak is about 1.7 billion. Disbursement is almost 600 to 800 million Ghana cedis. And the feedback has been good. Exim Bank today is a household name to the extent that we are the main and the principal bank supporting the One District, One Factory.
Money, as the CEO indicated, has been applied for things that the company asked for. And to date, we can comfortably say that work is almost done. What you see there, when we go in, you can see the warehouse will need to be roofed, and then the installation of the various machines installed. So the machines have been procured. In terms of the development, which is the dam, the road, the acquisition of the central pivot, as you see there, these are high-end machines that irrigate up to 25 acres of land a day, each one, and we have installed them, 2 of them. So we are capable of doing almost 50 acres every single day by way of irrigation using our own dam. So in terms of those development, we can say that we are almost done, 100% almost.
Recently, the management of the Ghana Export-Import Bank, Exim Bank, who are the financiers of a number of One District One Factory companies, paid a visit to the CASA de ROPA Company Limited, an agro-processing factory located at Gumwa Bewazi in the Gumwa West District, and the EKUMFI Fruit and Juice Factory at EKUMFI Nanabin in the EKUMFI District, both in the Central Region. The visit, which was accompanied by the media including international trade figures, your reliable source of international trade news, was to afford the management of the bank the opportunity to monitor and evaluate the progress of work of the homegrown companies that the bank is supporting financially. The Exim Bank has supported CASA de ROPA Company Limited with 14.400 million cedis. The bank dispersed about 90% of the money to the company, amounting to 11.8 million cedis, to establish a raw material base, particularly orange-fleshed sweet potatoes, which will be processed into products such as biscuit, puree, bread, noodles, pizza, and chips when completed.
2 crops that we do here is either the potato or maize. All of them 90 days, so that you can easily get your land back. So on your left, you see we have a dam here. Then in the middle, we have a dam. The 2 machines you see there are center pivots. That's the irrigation system we use here. Each one is capable of irrigating up to 25 acres a day. So the 2 does 50 acres of irrigation, non-stop irrigation in a single day. This is the top of the factory. From here we'll go to the production center where we produce the beans. But we produce the potatoes there, we'll harvest them and bring it to the middle of that building called the park. And the last time we were here, we went there. That's where we hosted you. So from there you wash it and then we'll bring it to the production center. And then you can decide which of the products you want. So if you want chips, in the next 5 minutes, you have the chips. If you want bread, probably you need an hour. We have a machine that is capable of doing the bread. In terms of the mixing, it's about 12 minutes. Then we do the molding. It's a self-molding machine. So there's no human intervention to come and mold the bread one, because you want to do as many as you want. So that will help you. Within the next 1 hour, you have an oven that can give you every 20 minutes 240 pieces of bread. And that means you decided to do that. But if you decide to do something that's pizza, then you have to mix your dough. And then when people come, then you serve them. So there are products that we do in mass, like the potato chips, the crepes, and then we send it to Accra and the schools and say. Then there are products that we also do per order. If somebody is doing a funeral and churches and others, they place order. Currently, we have an order that we are producing that will supply tomorrow, about 5,000 pieces of the chips, and the person is taking it to France. total project was 20 million cedis. So we have also invested close to 6 million cedis. Yeah, the total project was 20 million Ghana cedis. Yeah, in terms of the factory, in terms of the buildings, in terms of the farm development, yes. But the Exim Bank, we requested 14.4 and they've disbursed 100% up to date. We are taking away importation of sugar. So when we have opportunity to create employment for our people, we will not. Once we export the raw potato, it means we are creating unemployment. Because once the potato goes, CASA De ROPA will make X amount of money. But the others will continue to import sugar. And that is where our problem starts when it comes to the dollar and the cedi depreciation. So we believe that this is a reverse trend that as a country we should adopt, and it will help Ghana, it will help the farmers. And of course there's a health benefit. It's not only the economic benefit, there's a health benefit of not adding refined sugar into pastries. There is. So the medical scientists will tell you, if you consume a certain amount of natural sugars, then of course you can control your sugar level. So there's a health issue here, there's economic. But of course the economic is the most important thing. We have a direct workforce of 154, direct. And for the indirect workers, there are a number of farmers who are producing for us. This year, because of the COVID, we limited the number of outgrowers, but we did 359 farmers. Some of them have up to about 15 acres. But the majority of them have 1 to 2 acres. These are smallholder farmers. And we are happy to work with the smallholder farmers because they don't have the machinery to process. So we believe that when we work with the smallholder farmers, then of course they can also have opportunity to make income. The harvesting, it depends on a particular production. But we have what we call the reefer containers. So when the quantity harvested, for example, yesterday we harvested close to about 10 tons. We needed just 3 tons of potato for all the things that we are doing today. So the 7 tons will be processed and kept in the reefer container, which you see down there. So whenever there's excess, but the potato itself can also be stored for up to about a month. So even when you harvest it today, you don't need to process it. It can be there for 1 month raw, so you can store it. But it's always best for you to process and then you harvest. So what we do is that when farmers, like September, most farmers, because they use the rainfed, we will use ours for chips and then we'll process the farmers one. Then during the dry season, when the farmers, because they don't have irrigation, then we will rely on the one we have in the refrigeration as a buffer stock, and then also the one on our field will produce the chips. Because if the dry season comes, we are not able to get the farmers to produce. Very few of them are able to do the rain irrigation. As far as this project is concerned, the guarantee is assured. First of all, as a company, strategically, we have 10 different farms. This is the 9th one. Even though this is the biggest farm, we have equivalent of 40-acre farms across the country. We have a farm in Takoradi called Mampong. There are 2 farms in the Asin area. Asin and Mwabeng, there's a 40-acre farm. Asin Daumaku, there's another 45-acre farm. On the road to Swedo, we have 2 other farms. Each one is 40 acres. These are all geared towards making sure that, one, the production of the sweet potato does not cut. Even though we use the irrigation here, strategically we also do other farms so that in case there is, let's say, weevils attack or anything that has happened on the soil, then we can shift. Then, most importantly, there are a lot of commercial farmers that are coming on board. In Apam, there's a young guy who have just returned from Canada and he's doing a 100-acre farm. Currently, he has 13 acres that we help him just this May. Then there's another one at Akachi in the Volta region. There's a farm there who is also producing for us. Then there's a guy in Wa who is also producing. So we are also bringing in what we call the commercial growers. In addition to the smallholder farmers, which I said earlier on, we have 359. But we plan to do 1,000, but because of the COVID, after the time that we were supposed to give them the fine, then there was a knockdown. We are able to do 10 different products without adding sugar whatsoever. And the bread will be sweet too. It's not like it's not sweet. Sugar bread. Yes, we can do sugar bread. We can do anything. So you think about cake. We have cake here. We have meat pie here. You taste it yourself and you see whether it is sweet or not. It's the amount of potato that will determine the sweetness. So if you want cake, I can take 70% of this, 30% flour, egg or anything, then I'll give you cake. If I want bread, normally, because we don't want the bread to be over sweet, we do between 50 and 55%. and that will give you the bread you want.
The EKUMFI pineapple factory was also given a facility close to 60 million Ghana cedis to start up a 10-ton per hour fruit juice processing factory and to develop an outgrower scheme under the One District One Factory initiative. The entire project scope entails the setting up of a processing and packaging plant, pack houses and warehousing, storage facilities, packaging units and distribution terminals. As Ghana continues to pursue programs and policies that will boost local production and reduce overdependence on imported products, it's envisaged that the One District One Factory initiative will help establish and nurture several agro-processing companies that will come in handy to realize this objective. To the end, international trade experts and industry players have urged other banks and financial institutions to emulate the Ghana Exports and Imports Bank, Exim Bank, by providing similar financial assistance to companies that are in need of financial credit in order to enable them set up and grow similar businesses. We spoke to Frank Nyimaye. He's the head of the One District One Factory department at the Ghana Exim Bank. He told us the role that the Ghana Exim Bank is playing in the drive to boost local industries in order to reduce the heavy dependence on imports and move towards becoming a self-sufficient nation. Our in-depth segment comes up next.
In terms of names, we funded a lot of projects spanning across various sectors. In the pharmaceutical industry, we are heavily represented there. Poultry, we funded the poultry project. We funded oil palm processing. We funded pineapples. We funded share. We funded textiles and apparel, all across the value chain. And what we do is that we take any product, we don't look at it from one end. We do what we call end-to-end. So just like EKUMFI, we start from the raw material right down to marketing. Anything in between, we fund it. If we take the poultry, we are represented in poultry, then processing, the feed mill and everything. CASA De ROPA. And CASA De ROPA, when you get it, you see that it is also helping us as a nation to diversify our non-traditional export, because sweet potato, in this particular case, the variety we call the orange flesh sweet potato with high carotene content. Basically, carotene is a precursor for vitamin A. So that particular product, even though we have sweet potato here, it was not common. We've introduced it where they will be putting it into pastries, and that is one area I'm very excited because it's a completely diversified sector.
We are happy with these projects all dotted across, and over 100 of such projects all across the country at various stages of completion. The job creation component of what we are doing, you'll be amazed. And this is a factory, you see the factory, but we have more than 20 times the number who works on the farm. Okay, so what you see here, and you can see they are working not fully today because of our visit, but if they are fully working full time, you get more than over 200 workers on the factory floor and more than 2,000 on the farm producing for this factory. And don't forget, this is what we call a greenfield, a new factory that didn't exist. We supported projects that existed but were having challenges or needed to expand. Especially if you look at these nose masks that we were wearing, most of them or the companies that produce them were companies that we have funded, retooled, and when we were in crisis, they were able to stand up and be able to, do this thing for us. So yes, as a development bank, we are having impact in a lot of areas in the country. Currently, we have our 3 applications under consideration for packaging. And again, when you talk about packaging, like you said, it's not any packaging, first-class packaging. And you and I know that when it comes to packaging, it must be something that is acceptable to the client. So we've looked at them. Very soon. We will be coming out with support for them. Yeah, I like the way you put it. So many things. Yes, in fact, that is the objective of this project. The objective is to look at where we have a competitive advantage, and we produce to feed the nation first. Because if you look at the giant in export, they first look at, satisfying the nation. As in this country, we import almost everything. As we speak now, we have touched on a lot of areas. Most of the time, you see people talking about, let's say, toothpick. And we are importing toothpick. Nobody is addressing it. Exim Bank has funded a project to do toothpick and a lot of those kind of things. So we are looking at it from the grassroots. You see this huge project. There are some that we go to the grassroots, look at their capacity to produce at that level, and we meet them there. One district, one factory has come to stay. A lot of the time we see people saying there's nothing on the ground, there's nothing on the ground. We say that it is a private sector led thing. So if the promoter wants to bring it up to a certain level before coming out, yes, that one is acceptable. But I can tell you that for Exim Bank alone, we have over 100 projects dotted across the country. Right from the raw materials to feed the factory, and then the factory itself and the marketing, including support services to all these people.